Hello, and welcome to the semifinals of the UNPL Academy. I'm Zan, coach of your San Diego Hydras, and I am so excited to be here and play the game. So if you're excited, if you wouldn't mind, leave a like, subscribe. Our Week 9 video got a ton of views, and since then our playoff videos have seen next to none. It's definitely partially me not making the thumbnails or the titles interesting enough, but if you're here and you haven't watched those, definitely go check those out as well, because we had two really good games, I would say. These playoff games have been fire, and so I would highly recommend watching all of them. Hopefully this one is just as good and we don't just get destroyed, but you never know. Anyway, wouldn't you know it, our Week 9 game against Darude, where we brought a not very serious team and somehow managed to win, because we thought we'd play him in playoffs, has come to pass. We are playing Darude again, and this time I expect him to go all out. I don't know if that means offense or defense, but I will put his team on the screen right now. He has a great mix of both. He has a lot of immediate offensive pressure. He has a lot of potentially game-winning setup threats, and he has a stall core that he uses to a disgustingly successful degree, making his last opponent forfeit, just from being so fed up with a Rest Talk Dustclops, a Rest Ting Lu, and just a ridiculously stally team, honestly. So we're trying to prep for every possible outcome. We're not bringing some of the mons that did the best for us last time, because I think he may over-prep for them. And I've kind of looked at how he plays in the past to get a really good idea on how he likes to speed creep and invest. So hopefully we can take advantage of some of that. But without wasting any more of your time, let's look at what I'm bringing. So first Pokemon on the squad this week is Ninetales. This is actually the last one I added. I didn't really know what I wanted in this final slot. But I ended up deciding on this stall-breaking Ninetales, or this really annoying setup, stopping, trapping and chipping Ninetales. Luckily, we do have Drought this week, so we will get the Sun, but no Heat Rock, so Sun will not last for that long. So what I imagine is this Ninetales trapping one of his defensive Pokemon in, being annoying, getting some damage, some burns going, and then bringing it in later to sack it, and then let one of our Sun Mons take over the rest of the game. So we do have leftovers. Fire Spin traps in things like Dustclops. Obviously, Fortress gets scared out, so he would want to go into something like Ting Lu, Raging Bolt, even Palafin. So if we can trap any of those with a Fire Spin, maybe Palafin not so much, but the others we are happy to stay in on, because then we can set a substitute. On things like Ting Lu, I would imagine he would go for Stealth Rocks on our Fire Spin, because he'd imagine we'd switch out. We don't want to take an Earthquake, of course. So he sets Stealth Rocks, we Encore him, and suddenly he's trapped, forced to be burned, and will not be breaking our sub. He gets to switch out eventually once Fire Spin ends, but the thinking is it'll be chipped so well at that point he won't be able to rest, because he'll be forced to switch out once the spin ends, that Ninetales will have successfully beaten a massive threat and ground type. It could definitely work with things like Wigglytuff, Spidops, even Comfy. If Comfy's not fully set up at the time, we can trap it indefinitely with Calm Mind and switch into something to threaten it, or just Fire Spin and burn it down slowly, depending on his Terra type, of course. We've got the Walking Wake here, Assault Vest, because he has a lot of special attackers that are likely to get one hit off on us, and Assault Vest means we can live one. We didn't really need much in the way of coverage. Flamethrower is nice for Rillaboom, but I really liked Hydro Steam. I liked having the option to Draco and just kind of nuke his team as needed, but also Dragon Pulse is a good backup move to catch things like Rillaboom coming in without committing to a fire type attack. And then Flip Turn is just great pivoting potential. Our team loves to pivot this week, so we want to get our threats in as much as possible. We've got these tried and true Sinistcha. This is what I really thought was good against him last time we played, but I ended up bringing Kilowattrel because I didn't want to give away the Sinistcha set. Covert Cloak is here. It's really good into Sneasler. Last time he brought Scarf, and Scarf Sneasler just cannot beat this, especially with Covert Cloak, because suddenly we're not getting affected by Dire Claw. Also helps us not get frozen by a Palafin Ice Punch, and any of its other secondary effects we just ignore. We've got Heat Proof, of course, and then this is our same set as always, honestly. There's nothing surprising about this set. Very defensive this week because of things like Rillaboom. We want to be able to take knockoffs, and we're running the Ghost Terra. So I looked at it. Water Terra always loses to either Rillaboom or Raging Bolt, and Steel Terra has its own struggles against Ting Lu and Sneasler. So I kind of like just becoming a Ghost. That makes us resist both of Sneasler's stabs as well as a lot of other moves. He doesn't have a lot of good Dark and Ghost coverage, so I think it could be pretty good. This is kind of our potential late game win set. I know that he liked to bring a lot of taunt against me last time we played, so I do anticipate that, but even one Calm Mind is very big. We've got Donphan, and assuming he doesn't bring Spite Ops, this is our dedicated lead. Also with an Assault Vest, again, this is kind of just a check on both sides. It's very defensive, but the AV helps us 1v1 things like Raging Bolt. We actually, against certain types of Raging Bolts, we always knock it out with a combination of High Horsepower and Ice Shard. High Horsepower being there because grassy terrain. We've got the Rapid Spin, because we didn't want core change on Cinderace this week, and Counter. So Counter is really solid as a lead because if he leads with something like Palafin and Rillaboom, goes for a Wood Hammer or Grassy Glide immediately, or even hits us with a U-turn or flip turn and doesn't go into Dusk Noir, then we are suddenly doing 300 plus damage to something, usually enough for an Ice Shard to then take it out. So feel really good about this set. Counter may not come into play, and that's okay. And if he does bring the Spite Ops, our lead is changing into the Cinderace. This is what we led against him last time, but I do think it's very strong into his team just because it outruns everything that's not Sneasler and doesn't have a Choice Scarf. Boots is just really nice for it. And then this week we changed up the moves a little bit. Instead of going Taunt, I went with Trailblaze, because if we Libero into Grass type, suddenly all of his main priority is not very effective, which is kind of huge. That does weaken our Pyro Balls and high jump kicks, but if we can make it so that we take halved or quarter damage from things like Jet Punch, Thunderclap, and the Grassy Glide, I think we're in great shape to potentially win with this in the late game, assuming we get enough things chipped. So really excited about this set. Hope it puts in some work. And another thing on this set is the speed tier. Last time, he speed crept with his Choice Scarfed Sneasler to only outrun Screamtail. He didn't put the extra investment for Cinderace. So I'm hoping if he does something similar this time, that we can catch that and outspeed things that we shouldn't be outspeeding. So that's the hope. It may not work. If he changes the Sneasler set at all, it's irrelevant, but still. And finally, we've got the Screamtail. Absolutely nothing interesting about this set. It's a typical leftovers Gleam, Wish, Protect, Encore, just heal bot for our 2 Assault Vest Mons, keep things healthy, and be really annoying to his team. Don't let him get set up. So yeah, that's what we've got. We've got some strong physical attackers. We've got a Trapper. I feel pretty good about this team, but I know Darude's a great player, and if we lose this game, I'm okay with it. I think making it to semis makes me more than elated about how this team is done and how we've done this season. So yeah, without further ado, we'll get straight into the battle. And we're back and searching. We should have an opponent soon. There were a few things I could have brought here that I thought looked pretty good, but I feel like Kilowattrel and Coolfish ran crazy last time, so maybe leaving them off makes him over prep. Here he is, and his team is... Pyroar comes again. Dude, I was so sure that Pyroar was not coming to this game. That's crazy. So Wake's speed is a little suspicious, but last time he did bring Modest Pyroar, so at least we don't have to worry about that. So no Fortress, which is nice. No Dusclops, which I did prep quite a bit for. No Wigglytuff, no Spite Ops. Has all 3 Terra Captains, which is crazy. No Rillaboom again, which is good. And no Palafin again. So really does not like the Palafin to the Sun matchup, which is fine with me, honestly. I do not like prepping for Palafin. So his team is pretty weak to water. He only has Bolt as a switch-in, pre-Terra, of course. Very weak to Ice, very weak to Ground, and fairly weak to Fairy. So Donphan's looking really good here as a lead. And yeah, hopefully we get this dub, but he could have brought some really crazy stuff. Braviary scares me because it could be like Agility, Life Orb, Sheer Force. It could be Specs. Like, it's just such a good breaker that nothing can not be 2-hit KO'd by Hurricane at least. Screamtail is decent at it, and we have 2 Assault Vest Mons that can at least take 1. But if he chips us down, that's a scary endgame. Yeah, good luck, have fun to my opponent, Darude. If you're wondering why my normal rap album covers of Pokemon aren't over here, I have been laid off for several months now. And I just got my first interview for tomorrow, so... wish me luck, because I am stressed, but I thought it was a little unprofessional to have Pokemon rap album covers in the background on preview. So he does lead with the Pyroar. I forget, I believe it's Ground, Fire, Fairy, if I'm not mistaken. If we look at the Academy doc real quick, and I load up Pyroar. Last time he was Modest Charcoal. So I'm going to go for a high horsepower here because we are Assault Vest, so we definitely take one. It's grass, ground, or fire. So if he grass terras here, it's not great for us, but it's okay because we are sturdy at least. So Hopper Voices does under half, which is cool. He's Throat Spray. Okay. And we go for high horsepower, we don't miss, and we knock him out turn 1. Okay. So, Pyroar's a non-issue. Yeah, looking at the calc, it was probably Modest again. Braviary comes in now. Our Sturdy is broken, and Braviary probably KOs us, I would imagine. I mean, yeah, Hurricane would blow us back in this position. So I will just go into Screamtail, I believe. We can go back to our prep dock. Get rid of Pyroar that just got blown back immediately. Yeah, Screamtail is still useful here, but I do think going into it now, it's probably the best way to stop this thing from like setting up in our face. We are Ice Shard, but I'm a little nervous about a weakness policy. So we do switch. And he does not Terra, but he does Air Slash, and it does right above half, which I think is good EVs on our part, at least. So Air Slash, I didn't see the number before we got leftovers, but that does lead me to believe he's not like max invested or not Life Orb. I mean, easiest thing for us to do here is just throw up a Wish. I don't think there's anything that can hit us harder except for Hurricane, and if he has double Flying Stab, he has double Flying Stab. He does have Hurricane, okay. So he will knock out Screamtail here. That's huge for him. Screamtail's gone. Could have encored into Air Slash, I suppose. We do have a Wish coming down. This thing is a monster. We could definitely go Ninetales, because that would make Hurricane a lot less accurate. I mean, we're not doing anything to him, of course, but Hurricane's not going to hit, and Air Slash is doing about half to us, where Fire Spin kind of chunks him down. We also have Walking Wake, which I would like to get the Sun up for, but bringing it in and just dropping a Draco sounds like a decent play. He doesn't have a Fairy. This can't Terra Fairy, I don't believe. I've clearly forgotten his Terra types. Yeah, this is Terra Fighting, Electric, or Flying. So I am just going to immediately go for Draco. It should do a lot of damage. Something like 70% at least, and that's if he's bulky. So never has a chance to KO, but it should do a good chunk. Could definitely go into Comfy. He does have that one switch in. I don't know why I was thinking Wigglytuff was his only Fairy. But if he does, we just flip turn, and that's fine. So, not choiced. We do just drop a Draco. He does stay in again. Knocks him very low, so that is not bulky at all. Hurricanes and misses, but that's kind of the way of Hurricane. He did land the first one. So, unfortunate for our opponent. It would have done something like 55% with our Assault Vest. It would not have ever knocked us out. So that Draco means Hydro Steam should knock him out on this one. But then we let something else in for free, which is not great. But yeah, he doesn't have a great Hydro Steam switch in. So we'll just go for that and try to get rid of this threat. Do knock it out. Okay, nice. So this is, he's going very hyper offensive, not really giving me a chance to set up with anything, which is, I wouldn't say frustrating because we are getting KOs, but we're also losing pieces, and losing Screamtail's really tough this early on. Normally that's like our late game setup contingency, but at least we do have extra Encore, so it could be worse. We do end up with a full health Wake at the end, so that's nice at least. The main threats he has left would be some type of setup Sneasler. Does go to Cameron, the Raging Bolt. Doesn't show an item. Braviary's gone. So Comfy is the Terra Cap. If we look at our Wake into a Choice Scarfed Raging Bolt, we do always take a Dragon Pulse. Do we always take a Draco? We never take a Draco. And our switch into this is dead. So, yeah, that's not great. Do think we flip turn, and if he Dracos, that gives us a good chance to set up later in the game. He's not Scarf, so we do get a flip turn off, and now we have the difficult decision of what comes in on a probable dragon move. And if we look at the pieces we have left, I mean, Ninetales traps Ting-Lu, traps Comfy. It does not beat Sneasler. It can burn it. Cinderace, at this point, Cinderace does not look very good because, I mean, it's not KOing anything, honestly. Tusk is an obvious switch in here. We can no longer wish up Tusk, and it really isn't doing much into his other mons. It's just a Sneasler resist. So I'm actually okay going into Tusk, I think. Or Donphan, but, you know, modern Tusk. So we go into that. He does drop a Draco Meteor. He might be a Jetpack. He KOs us through our AV. Wow. So I did 230 damage. Maybe we can get an idea of the set. He's not a Jetpack. So Donphan, 230. Okay, so just Modest always KOs Donphan. If he's Timid, that was either a roll or he's a boosting item. He is at -2 though. So Ninetales into this at -2. I mean, he's still breaking sub with Draco. Obviously weight can come in and Draco knocks him out assuming he's not AV, but I do think Ninetales coming in now is fine. Do actually set the sun this week. We activate his Protosynthesis, which is okay. He's, oh, defense boost? Defense boost? And you did that much with Draco? Oh, duh. I'm so stupid. Defense is his highest stat if his special attack is lowered, of course. So we'll just go for 1 sub here, because I do think he has good incentive to switch. That defense boost confused me so much. Protosynthesis, I always forget, takes stat changes into account, so at -2, his special attack is probably lower than his defense, even if he's Modest. So we can't learn too much from that, unfortunately. So he does stay in. We do go for sub, but a Volt Switch shouldn't break it if he did decide to go for that. Does discharge. This should not break the sub. And it does not. Nice. Okay. So we are looking pretty good. I imagine he probably wants to switch here, but I do want to kind of go for Fire Spin. That either gets chip on this or whatever he wants to bring in. To land it, luckily. So we do trap this, assuming no Volt Switch. And he goes for Discharge again. Okay. So no Volt Switch, we will get some chip damage. And this is going to be kind of a war of attrition. I don't know that Ninetales wins this, but I hope it does. He may Volt Switch on this next sub, or he may Discharge and then Volt Switch on the sub breaking. I could Encore him into Discharge after the substitute though. So we'll sub again. If he Dracos again, it will break sub instantly, but then we get another fresh one, and there's no chance he breaks it, maybe even in 2 hits. So he's Calm Mind, which is kind of what we want to see because we are Encore, and he is trapped with Fire Spin. So, get our leftovers, and he'll get a little bit more Fire Spin chip, and this is kind of a slow process. This wasn't the intended target of Ninetales, but it does work. So we'll just go for an Encore here. He's stuck Calm Minding until the Fire Spin ends, and then he can switch. So we need to pay attention. He's not Mental Herb, is he? Nope. Okay. Oh, he is Mental Herb. Okay, so can't get Encored. Nice. Does go for Discharge. Does this break sub? I think it's going to be a roll, maybe. We are relatively bulky. It does break sub in 1. Okay. So if he's plus or -1... Discharge. It looks like a roll in my favor based on the Draco damage, so I will just go for 1 more sub. He is still taking Fire Spin damage. Obviously don't want anything getting paralyzed. Let's discharge again. This should be a roll. But it does break again. Okay. It's not great. Sunlight does fade, so he loses his defense boost, which is irrelevant. And we get our leftovers. I think this is when Fire Spin ends. So he's playing... Oh, nope, we get more Fire Spin. So he's playing the game of... Bring a Pokemon in, use it until it dies, bring the next one in. This seems to be his game. I will sub again. I do think Discharge is a roll. I don't want to get paralyzed, so this is our best play. Takes damage. Sub fades. Okay, maybe it's not a roll, but I'm seeing the wrong Pokemon. I'm looking at the wrong Pokemon. Okay, never mind. It's not a roll. I had the Ninetale, a different Pokemon in the calc. So we are freed. Discharge on Ninetales does a max of 114, so we can go for another Fire Spin here at least and get some more chip. I did like this for Comfy and Ting-Lu, but at this point we're such low health that I don't think we'd be able to get this off again. So we will Fire Spin. Should be close to knocking him out after 2 more hits. And he does Draco to actually KO us. Okay, so we don't get Sun back, but that's okay. Could have saved it for Sun, but at this point, I don't know that it was worth. So he's at -1, or -3 now, so this might be when Sinistcha comes in and starts setting up. So -3 Raging Bolt, +1 Spadef into Sinistcha. And we can't get paralyzed by Discharge. He might be Taunt last move, though. We've only seen Discharge Draco Calm Mind. I don't see why he wouldn't run Thunderclap. I could bait and see if he's Thunderclap with Wake. I mean, if Sinistcha starts setting up now, it should win. So I imagine he's Taunt. But I think if we want, we can confirm it with Wake. We can confirm Thunderclap. Yeah. No. I'm going to go into Sinistcha because there's no reason to take another Draco on Sinistcha, risk a crit. So we'll go that. If he shows us that his last move is Taunt, then it's fine. We should still beat this in the end. We'll go for 1 Calm Mind. He probably has Taunt somewhere. If not on this, maybe the Comfy. So the Ninetale set kind of worked. It did like 60% to Raging Bolt and forced it to get a -3, which puts us in a good position to set up to win. But I wish he'd have done more. Honestly, I wish he'd switched on it. But I understand the rationale, like, why would a Raging Bolt be afraid of a Ninetales? The worst I'd have is, like, Scorching Sands. So he does switch, so we do get 1 Calm Mind at least. Goes into the Ting-Lu. Could be Roar. Could be Weakness Policy with Throat Chop, which would be terrifying. So if I look at my calc real quick, we are +1/+1 into a Ting-Lu. Machagacha should be doing something like 40% at least, and Earthquake's obviously not hurting us. Throat Chop, if he has it, is doing about 40%, so it might, if he's max attack and we give it a Weakness Policy boost, it KOs. Our other option is to Strength Sap once to see what he wants to do, but I am just going to go for the Machagacha. I don't think there's a reason to remove my Grass typing yet, so we'll just go for that. Small chance to burn. We hit it for about half, so it's not super Spadef. And it's Memento. Okay, so he instantly drops our offensive stats. So we're now at -1 special attack, but still +1 Spadef. Ting-Lu KOs itself. I guess I could have Calm Minded again, but I don't know that it was worth it. It would have had us at neutral at least, though. So this makes me think he wants to set up. Maybe with the Bolt. Rita. I think this is Sneasler. It is Sneasler. Okay, so does he want to set up with Sneasler? Because if we're at -1 into a Sneasler, worst case scenario is Throat Chop. Throat Chop's doing 35 to 42 to us. Dire Claw, the ability doesn't work, and if we Terra Ghost, then Shadow Ball's not quite a 2-hit KO, but close. So I do kind of want to go for one Shadow Ball just to check the damage. I know we're at -1, but still I think we need to hit this while it's in front of us. We cannot let it get out of hand, because it definitely sweeps the rest of our team if Sinistcha goes down if it gets a Sword Stance. So we do Terra Ghost. And he goes for Sword Stance. Okay, so he is set up Sneasler. We can Strength Sap once, and then Shadow Ball. So, drop a Terra Ghost Shadow Ball. Excited to finally see Terra Ghost come through. And it doesn't quite do half, so he could go for another Sword Stance here, I suppose. At +3. Throat Chop has a chance to KO. So I will Strength Sap, though, to see what move he decides to go for. I don't know if he had room for Throat Chop. He might have thought we would Terra out of Ghost, because we do resist Dual Stab. So whatever his coverage is has to be what he hits us with. It does have Dire Claw. Does pretty much nothing, because we Strength Sap and lower his attack. So I think he probably goes for another Sword Stance here to get a +3, not knowing the Dire Claw cannot do anything against us, and I could not be more thankful that I put Covert Cloak on this. So if I get back up to neutral, Shadow Ball may not be a KO, so I think it might actually be safer to just hit it twice. What does he have left? He has a Bolt and a Comfy left in the back, and our Cinderace looks pretty good into those, and Wake looks pretty good into those. Wake could lose to Comfy without Sun now. I mean, we could go for another Calm Mind. I just think the Shadow Ball would then be a roll, but I think it's worth it because it helps us beat the last two. So he's thinking about his move. We haven't seen an item yet. It might be something like Citrus Berry, so maybe trying to knock it out in one is the preferred play. He switches. Okay, so this Calm Mind was definitely the correct play. Goes into Comfy. And we'll set up a Calm Mind. It's either Terra, Fire, Ground, or Fairy. None of those should be incredibly threatening to us at +2 Spadef. So once again, I could Shadow Ball to gauge the damage on him. This is kind of the Sinistcha show right now, because we really need it to do a lot of work for us here. It could definitely Calm Mind, it could Taunt, which is why I want to go ahead and go for some damage. Machagacha does slightly less since we're Terra Ghost, so I don't think it's worth clicking to try to get the burn. He is also Calm Mind, so it's going to be a war of attrition between these two. He has the advantage in special attack now, we have the advantage in special defense. We will also see how much this does. Oh, we crit instantly. That's huge. We crit through his first Spadef boost. And based on that crit, yeah, it's probably max health, max defense, maybe some special attack investment in there. I will Shadow Ball again, just to see how much a Draining Kiss does to us. And see how much it gets back. See if it's a winnable war right now, or if we need to get in the Calm Mind fight and see who crits first, which is not a fight I want to get into, because we've had our share of bad luck in the past. We are getting a little lucky this time between the Hurricane dodge and, okay, he decides to just keep Calm Minding. So the Shadow Ball I don't think knocks him out. It'll be close. And he's essentially hitting us with a neutral Draining Kiss. Okay, so it does knock it to about 1 health. So +2, Draining Kiss is recovering him. I don't know if it's going to be enough to save him, so I'm going to go for one more Shadow Ball. He does Draining Kiss, he's not Terra Fairy. Does a little more than I expected, so I do think he does have some investment. Oh, but he's Life Orb, so he loses that health back. So he doesn't have investment, he's just Life Orb, okay. So the Shadow Ball might KO due to the Life Orb chip, actually. Does KO due to the Life Orb chip. Okay, that's massive. So now we have a mostly healthy Sinistcha versus a Sword Stance, Sneasler, and a Calm Mind Raging Bolt. The Bolt does come in. A Draco into +2 Spadef. Sinistcha is still doing a ton of damage to us. Oh, that's with photosynthesis. No item. Draco's doing less than half, and a strength sap would get us back up above half. So we'll go for that. He does discharge, so he's trying to get a para on us, which is a solid win con, but it won't work because we are Covert Cloak. It's no longer resisted as well, so that's actually a good click by him. Strength Sap will get us a ton of health back. Yeah, almost back up to full. I think we go for the KO with Shadow Ball here. Discharge will knock us down again. It cannot para because we are Covert Cloak, which has been the most useful item I've ever seen this battle. We'll get a Shadow Ball off. And I think we Strength Sap once on the Sneasler just to be back up to full, so we can't get two-shot no matter what. The crit was very lucky on Comfy. It would have ended up coming down to a Calm Mind War where whoever crits first wins the game. And we just got the crit earlier than we needed, I suppose. I think I do Strength Sap once. He does Dire Claw. And we will Strength back up to full. And assuming he's not been hiding some secret tech on the Sneasler, I do think this means we go to finals, which is crazy. We did get a little lucky this game. Had no bad luck against us, which was nice. Yeah, he's just spamming Dire Claw, but we are Covert Cloak, and I could not be happier. So this is just proving Sinistcha is one of the best mons in draft. We KO it there. I thought we did less than that last time. I guess we got back up to neutral. So we win, and we make it to finals, where we battle one of our friend Nova, who we're joining a Liga very soon, and someone named Crash in the other division, who I have no idea how he plays, but we'll see who we play. We'll see you next week for finals. We're going to finals. It's so exciting. I'm so glad this team worked out, and GG's to my opponent. You played fantastic. Loved the prep. I'm sorry for the bad luck. I don't know that it would have changed the outcome of the game. It depends on luck down the road. It just kind of sped up the battle, I suppose.